What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, CEO, MTS Nutrition, Chief Marketing Officer, tigerfitness.com, creator of the Outright Bar. Now, so I actually was flying home from Texas. I was on the Blaze TV. It was really awesome. I was on Elijah Schaefer's show, Sarah Gonzalez's show. It was just amazing. What an amazing time. So I'm on my way home, and I get the internet. I'm watching it, and I see a video by Nick Trigili about how blessing Awodibu, I can't pronounce his last name. I'm not going to offend him by pronouncing his last name. He was fired by Redcon. So I want to explain to you how it works being a pro bodybuilder and why, if you're a pro bodybuilder and you're relying on sponsorship, that, man, okay, let me go back in time. Now, a lot of what Nick said was true. Singerman didn't hire Blessing because he felt a soft spot for him. It's because he felt he could promote him and make money. Now, back in the day, you could literally build a company off of bodybuilders. You had Greg Kovacs with Muscle Tech and Jay Cutler, and everybody at Muscle Tech used Muscle Tech was brilliant at using them, right? Lee Priest literally was ProLab. When Lee Priest left ProLab sold to Natrol. They got rid of Lee Priest. It just died. They literally tied that athlete to the brand. Athletes used to be part of the brand. They become the face of the brand. Now, as we progressed, I think people back then were kind of naive. Back in the 90s, early 2000s, even before then, we never talked about steroids. So when Lee Priest would say, hey, you know, I'm really big because I drink this weight gainer, people were like, wow, Lee Priest is really big because he drinks this weight gainer. Greg Kovacs is 400 pounds. Wow. This Celtech is really putting on some size. So here's the issue. The issue is nobody really gives a shit if you win a bodybuilding pro show. Nobody really cares. It does increase your following, but that doesn't necessarily mean that your following converts. You got some cats on Instagram who've never competed. Some people who've obviously, or even just never obtained a pro card. Let's look at the largest competitors other than Sebum, who is just an anomaly. The guy's got everything. He's got a great body. He's physique Mr. Olympia. He's well-spoken. People like him. He's modest. He's humble. He's the complete package. But it's not like back in the day where you could just sign a bodybuilder and boom, you're there. Back in the day when you got a pro card, you pretty much assumed you'd get a sponsorship. Like I've sponsored, not including partnering, but I've sponsored, I sponsored Quincy Taylor as early as 2004. A guy in California, I don't know if he's still competing, Martin Sandoval. I've had a few, that I've sponsored, and it never really ends well because once you start pulling numbers and doing all of that, you realize that they're not really creating the return on investment. So people go in and they think that they get this pro card and they're just going to be paid to be a bodybuilding pro, to be a pro bodybuilder. And unfortunately, we can't do that anymore. Back in the day, you used to be able to say, hey, you know, my brand's growing, everything's going great. So I'm assuming that this mix of having all these athletes is doing its job. However, now you can directly measure how many sales these bodybuilders are bringing in. So for the most part, very few bodybuilders are bringing in enough money to justify any bit of salary. So a lot of times the best thing a bodybuilder can get is a small retainer. So they can do photo shoots. They can be used in ads, basically paying you to use your likeness. And then you have a commission structure or some kind of an incentive plan, as Nick Trigili was talking about. So the issue is that it is no longer a face of the company. You know, like Lee Priest was with ProLab. So you go back to the video I watched with Nick Trigili and Blessing Awodibu. I can't pronounce. I haven't heard it enough to pronounce it. I don't watch enough YouTube and listen to it enough. Blessings, right? So this is a man who literally came to this country. I mean, what a great opportunity he got. He's very lucky. But he said that basically verbatim in this interview, he said that all he has to do is train, and I believe the exact words were not do shit else and make money. Sorry, honey, that's not how the world works. At least not for stability. You guys got to realize bodybuilders, you have your anomalies. You know, Brandon Curry's 39. Dexter Jackson competed till 51. You know, at the end of the day, man, there's a lot of risk every year you take on competing at that level. So you don't want to do it too long. So what I recommend bodybuilders do is that's bonus income. But you guys have to understand, Ronnie Coleman is arguably the greatest bodybuilder of all time. And Ronnie Coleman kept his job as a police officer for 6 Mr. Olympias. 6 Mr. Olympias. Back in the day, Porter Cottrell was a full-time firefighter. Okay, bodybuilders now, for some reason in this entitlement society, think that you should get paid for simply lifting weights. Now, if you are to make money as a bodybuilder, I always tell people to do what my good friend Jason Arntz did. Jason Arntz, a good bodybuilder, not a Ronnie Coleman, but a really competitive bodybuilder, was a sales rep. And he's still, I believe he has his own company now. But basically, he would compete, but he also was a sales rep for, at the time, ProSups and other companies as a pro bodybuilder. If you're going to make it in this industry and you want to be a full-time industry person and not have a job, a 9-to-5, then I highly recommend that when you pitch yourself to these companies, you don't pitch yourself as the winner of the New York Pro or the Boston Pro or the Chicago Pro. You pitch yourself as a salesman. You don't send them your competition resume. You send them your work resume. You send them your education. A lot of these bodybuilders don't even have resumes. They put it all on black. They bet it all on black. And they're like, I'm going to go pro. I'm going to make all this money. And then you turn pro. And you realize things. You realize, number one, food costs a lot. Number two, drugs. Yeah, I said it. Drugs cost a lot. Why do you think in the 90s and 2000s, people would go out to Venice Beach and they'd be like, I'm going to be a pro bodybuilder. It's my dream. And then, boom, gay porn. I've seen so many bodybuilders I've met. I've seen them in compromising homosexual positions because people will send this to me. The reason they did it is because they did not have a backup plan. I'm not even saying have a backup plan. I'm saying that bodybuilding isn't Major League Baseball. Bodybuilding isn't the NFL. Bodybuilding for about 12 weeks, right? For a good prep, you have to really buckle down. You do cardio in the morning for an hour, okay? And then you train later in the day. What the fuck are these people doing for fucking 12 hours a day? You fucking do, how long are you training? I've trained with these pros, man. Y'all ain't training more than 1 to 2 hours. If you are, like, you're not recovering. I don't care how many drugs you're on. Like, there is no excuse why a bodybuilder can't have a 9-to-5. And let's say you don't want to do the 9-to-5. Like, it's funny, I just spoke to Evan Senapani. You guys remember him? Like, once he got out of bodybuilding, dude's in finance now, and he's crushing it. He's doing really well. So the problem is, you remember the glass ceiling that women, it's been debunked. I don't want to get anybody mad at me for saying this on either side. I don't want any of the hairy armpit feminists coming at me, and I don't want any of the dudes who are anti-women coming at me. But basically, a lot of the reason women did not succeed as a whole, number one is they didn't take jobs that were dangerous and paid more, right? They took lower paying jobs like teachers, this and that. Besides the point, another reason is they take 1 year to 2 years off to have children, raise children. You get 1 to 2 years out of the workforce while everybody else is moving up in the world, while Bob over there is crushing it, getting a promotion a year. You're over there breastfeeding and reading and watching Sesame Street, which is awesome. My wife took, how many years to take off, Katie? 2 years. But those 2 years when Katie stopped to raise our children, if you didn't know, if you haven't seen me on the Blaze TV, we're extremely conservative in that manner. We love our family. Like, not that people who work, both parents who work, don't love their family. Katie works now. We wanted a parent to be there during their early impressionable years. You know, so basically you take 10 years off to bodybuild. Let's say you take from 20 to 30 to bodybuild, then you're like, oh, I need to grow up and get a real fucking job. You literally have to start from the bottom because you've done nothing but lift weights. And you're not competing past 40 unless you're Dexter, and Dexter's immortal. You're not Dexter Jackson. So what happens when you're 40? Well, I'm going to start a supplement company. Newsflash, honey. Supplement companies fail. We have a ritual where before every Arnold Classic, before it starts, we walk around. I am so far 100% accurate in predicting which new companies will go out of business. It's pretty simple. I have like a 98% chance of being correct if I say they'll go under. Remember Badass Nutrition, the one that dude from Shark Tank, Damon, invested in? I remember looking at that like, who wants to buy a supplement with a fucking jackass as their mascot? So they all think they're going to get, oh, I'm going to start a supplement company. Dude, there's only one Rich Gaspari. There's only one Lee Labrada. Those are fairy tales. Cutler did a great job. But look at Cutler. Cutler was a full-time bodybuilder, but Cutler was a businessman. Cutler turned bodybuilding into a business. He sold merch. He built the brand of Cutler. He utilized his sponsors to build him through Muscle Tech, through BPI, getting him everything he has now. And also Cutler is not only a business genius, he's probably the nicest, most virtuous, charitable man you'll ever meet. So the problem is these bodybuilders expect to pay their bills by simply being big and lifting weights. No, sorry, bro. Sorry, honey. At the end of the day, I say that too fucking much. I noticed that in my interviews this week. You need to bring profitability and return on investment to a company, period. You need to convert. If you have 2 million followers on Instagram, and you're not converting to sales, it doesn't matter. I think it was, I'm not going to say who it was, but one of my good friends said likes don't pay bills. They don't. What pays bills are conversions. So my recommendation to all up and coming bodybuilders, treat yourself like a business person. For example, bodybuilding for me, and I'm by no means a great bodybuilder, has gotten me in the door. It's differentiated me from other business people. And when I'm talking to a large corporation or a bank, they notice it. They notice that I'm an enthusiast, and it helps me in that manner, right? If you are a bodybuilder and you go to a company and say, sponsor me, I'm going to win the New York Pro, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. But if you come to me and say, hey, I'm going to increase your bottom line by 10%, and here's how. I want to be a regional sales rep. I want to handle this territory. I'll visit stores. I'll do X amount of in-store events, and I will grow your brand. I want, in addition to being your sponsored athlete, I want to work out a salary as a salesperson, and I also want a commission structure. That way you get to work within the industry, and God forbid you tear a pec, tear a bicep, or get kidney or liver failure because you're a bodybuilder. You have something to fall back on. And you didn't just spend 10 years with a complete blank spot on your resume. You get to put national sales director for company X. Or if you just want to do something really cool, and let's say you're good at something else, you don't have to be in the supplement industry. You can train people. You can work in gyms. You can do online coaching. There's a lot of things you can do. And that IFBB Pro card does go a long way in helping you establish a harem, so to speak, of accounts, of prospects, of customers. But bodybuilders, from what I've seen, there are your anomalies, right? Nick Walker, I'm so proud of that kid because he's out there hustling. Like, he's out there promoting whatever he can. You have your Kai Greens, who is a marketing machine. Bob Ciccarillo never won anything, and he's the voice of bodybuilding now. You have to treat your body as your business. lifting weights and doing an occasional shout out on Instagram isn't gonna cut it. What I recommend you do is be a business person. Go and work. Have a 9 to 5. Again, if it's for the company you want to be sponsored by, if you want to go that route, that's great. But remember, up until recently, I think it was Tom Prince in an interview who said, back in the day, bodybuilding used to be between 7 a.m. and 8 a.m., and then we went out and did our real jobs. For some reason, bodybuilders think that because they're professional athletes, that they should have all the benefits bestowed upon them of other professional athletes. I can't control what IFBB pros get paid. And based on the attendance and what I know about how much shows cost, I actually think the prize money is fair. Because if you scale it up, well, baseball players make this many millions. They also sell out stadiums with 60,000 people 4 nights a week. Bodybuilding, we have empty seats at our biggest shows. It's just not a big enough sport to make that argument. So hustle, hustle, hustle. And as for Blessing, I'm so sorry for what happened. You're a hustler. You're a success story. I love you to death. And the reason I'm using you as an example is because it's in the news right now. I hope you land on your feet. But just to kind of give you an example, as someone who owns companies and is also a mediocre professional bodybuilder, I want to let you know that for your next step, I want to challenge you with going out and going to a company and saying, hey, I want to work. I'm not just a pretty face. I got a pretty brain too. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts. Am I out of my mind? Am I out of touch? Am I just an angry old guy with a horrible physique who is hating on people? My physique's horrible next to Blessing's physique. It definitely is. He looks fucking great. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. I'm Marc Lobliner. Thanks so much for watching. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and click on the notification bell. That's not a game. Training intensity is everything. If you want to build muscle, if you want to get better, if you want to go hard, you need to train intense. A lot of pre-workouts, they get you intense. But then what happens? You crash. A lot of pre-workouts, they give you the pump, but then what happens? It wears off. A lot of pre-workouts, they'll give you all that stuff, but it doesn't add to your endurance. I want to be able to lift heavy. I want to be able to feel the pump. I want veins bulging from every single part of my body. I want to lift heavier weights every single time. I want to run farther. I want to run faster. I want to push harder, and I want to get bigger, stronger, and faster. And that's why I created Clash 3D. This pre-workout is next level, featuring 3D pump, Vasodrive AP, and a lot of other epic ingredients. Guys, this is the pre-workout that you need to take your workouts and your performance and your physique to the next level.